कुदरत कवण कहाँ विचार, वारे न जावा एक बार। जो तुद भावे साई बलिगार, जो तुद भावे साई बलिगार। तू सदा सलामत निरंकार, तू सदा सलामत निरंकार। कुदरत कवण कहाँ विचार, वारे न जावा एक बार। असंख्य जप असंख्य भाव, असंख्य पूजा असंख्य तपताओ। असंख्य मुख असंख्य ग्रंथ मुख वेद पाठ। असंख्य ग्रंथ मुख वेद पाठ। असंख्य जोग मन रहे उदास। असंख्य गुण भगत गुण ज्ञान विचार। असंख्य भगत गुण ज्ञान विचार। असंख्य सते असंख्य दातार। असंख्य सूर मोह भख सार, असंख्य मोन लेवलाए दार। असंख्य सूर मोह भख सार, असंख्य मोन लेवलाए दार। कुदरत कवन कहा विचार, वारे न जावा एक बार। जो तुद भावे साई बलिगार, जो तुद भावे साई बलिगार। तू सदा सलामत निरंकार, तू सदा सलामत निरंकार। असंख्य मूर्ख अंध घोर, असंख्य मूर्ख अंध घोर। असंख्य चोर हराम घोर। असंख्य अमर कर जाए जो, असंख्य अमर कर जाए जो। असंख्य गल वड हत्या कमाए। असंख्य गल वड हत्या कमाए। असंख्य पापी पाप कर जाए। असंख्य कूड़े यार कूड़े फिराए। असंख्य मलेश मल पख खाए। असंख्य निंदक सिर घरे पार। असंख्य निंदक सिर करे भार। नानक नीच कहे विचार, वारे न जावा एक बार। जो तुद भावे साई बलिगार, तू सदा सलामत निरंकार कुदरत कवन कहाँ विचार वारया न जावा एक बार असंख नाव असंख धाव अगम अगम असंख लोय असंख कये सिर भार होए अखरी नाम अखरी सलाह अखरी ज्ञान गीत गुण गाहा अखरी लेखन बोलन बाण अखरां सिर संजोग वखा जिन ए लेखे तिस सिर नाहे जिन ए लिखे तिन नाय जिव फरमाए तेव तेव पाए जे दागेता तेता नाओ विण नावे नाही को थाओ कुदरत कवन कहा विचार वारया न जावा एक बार जो तुद भावे साई पलिगार जो तुद भावे साई बलिकार तू सदा सलाम अत निरंकार कुदरत कवन कहाँ On this journey that we are all together, the last time when we got together, Gurwani had indicated to us that those who went through the stages of mindful listening, sonana, and then to get to the stage of no mind, manana, they eventually were able to control, transcend the five senses, Panch Parvan, Panch Pradhan. So again, the thing to watch here is how these things are linked together. What is the sequence? If you read, they will become independent of each other. And that is, it looks haphazard. And ever since we started on this journey, we have been continuously watching that thread. What is the underlying thread? How does one thought relates with the other? How is this as a contiguous journey? So, Ekyamkar Satnam, all the way, we have seen each stage. Soche sochna hovai to leke. We came to Sunaya Siddh Pir Sunat, which was the physical. Then we went to the non-physical, which is Manna. Ki gat kahi na jaye, manna pave mukh dwar. And then when mannan happened, we looked at it, what manne really means. And then the last time, We said Panch Parvan, Panch Pradhan, Pancha Pave, Dargah Heman. Those who got to that process were the Supreme One. They got ultimately accepted. Manna Pave Mohdwar. So now, if that is the case, then is there a specific only one way to get to that stage? Are there many ways, methods, processes? Because ever since the creation, you go to the people and they all give you different ideas, different thoughts. Not only in a same time space, but as the time space continuum moved. If we want to talk about Kal Yuga, Sat Yuga, Dwapar, Treta, if you want to go backward from Kal Yuga, in every one of those stages of time flow, there were different thoughts. So is it that none of those thoughts were there that got to that stage? Not only that, there are not just as many positive thoughts, there was as many negative energy also. So then how does one decide what path to take? We understood Pancha Pave, Manna Pave Mohdwar. We understood that. But how does one choose the path? How do I know if I am on the right path? Which path? As how many are there? Haven't the others gone through? No, the others have gone through, not just one, not two. Unlimited. You know. In America, we have a word called gazillion, which is literally a coined term. It is a million, billion, trillion, and then we run out of the words and say gazillion. What does gazillion mean? Is it a number? No, it's basically trying to say I don't know how much it is. In mathematics, we have a term called infinity. So the question is, what is infinity? How does one know that one has arrived at the infinity? How much you should count and then say, this is infinity. Yeah, in mathematics, how would you? Coming to zero is much easier. Right? When you take everything out, you know it's zero. But if you say it is infinity, what is infinity? Has anybody counted up to a certain point and then said, from this point onward, I can't count anymore, so it's infinity? Could you not just say to that stage then, okay, up to here, then plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4. So Gurbani says, it is not that there are not paths. As many positive paths, as many negative paths. Why? Because the paths were all created, decided, selected with different paradigms, with a different mindset, with different end result in thought process. I want to achieve this. We have a term in India called Kala Ilam. Right? Here, you find these people in the, particularly in the African subculture, Voodooism. Now, these energies have a certain purpose. When you do a penance or any practice, you achieve that type of certain powers and you use those powers for certain purposes. So that means there are negative energies and there are positive energies. There are negative processes, there are positive processes. How does one choose? How does one know if I am on the right path? And this is where today's topic starts. How is it related with the Panch Praman, Panch Pradhan? Those who were selected and they got to the Manne Pave Mokhdwar, they followed a process. What was that process? That process started with Jap. From Japana to Sunna, the mindful listening. And then slowly dropping the physical and going into the non-physical Manne. And when get to the non-physical, then transcending Manne also. Transcending the mind as well. Man, na. There is no mind now. But what does it? This is just one sequence of events. What has happened over the time immemorial? There were a zillion of sequences and a zillion of people followed those. So, to a beginner then, the question will be, how do I know if I am on the right path? I am born in a Sikh family, so I listen to Sikh Granth. You are born into a Hindu family and you say, well, what's the need of a new Granth? Weren't there enough Granths already? Right? If you talk to the Hindu theophist, he will say, hey, there are Vedas, there are Puranas, there are Simrti and Shruti. Why do you need all this? It's already written. Why do we need one new Granth more? Whatever was true is already written, so just go read that. You talk to a Muslim and he says, wait a minute. What was written is too old. As the time changed, the process changed, this is the new one. The God has sent a new message. The old is junk. Listen to this. And then the other thought will come, wait a minute. Is the messenger, the God, who sent this message and created these, was he so immature that he didn't know that the time is going to change, so I better document all the things? That he has to make sure that every few 100 years he finds a new messenger and sends him with a new message, the old one is discarded? What kind of a God is this? See? A never-ending argument. So how do you choose the right path? Which path should I choose? How do I know if I am on the right path? And that is the topic of today, and Sikhism solves that problem for the Jagyasu. Say, if you get into the controversy of what is the right and what is the wrong, what is good and what is bad, you are never going to get out of it. So what is the answer? And that's what we want to find out today from these stanzas. So the stanza starts, Asankh Jap, Asankh Bhav. Now, for those of you who want to do the comparative study in Sikhism, Gurbani has made two lists of positive and negative at two places. One is in Japuji, the other is in Sukhmani. That list is also two lists together. List of positive energies, list of negative energies. That the other one starts with the Kai code. As the word here starts with the basic Asankh word, there it starts with the Kai code. But do not fall into the trap of the word Asankh. Asankh is not a mathematical term. It is not a number. Because you cannot put a number. Literally translated, it means infinite. But if somebody was, as you said earlier, somebody was to ask you, tell me how much is infinite, how would you ever know you have reached infinity? You'll get trapped. So Gurbani starts with saying Asankh Jap. That from the time immemorial, there were not as many really souls, as many methods and processes. Every mind created a few more with different ideas, different thoughts. But on the top of the list is jap. And that's a significant thing. That of all of the karma, all of the action, all of the methods, japa has been, since the time immemorial, the supreme. Now, the mind-body system has slowly gone on a tangent, not stayed focused on that, not done the process as it was outlined, but that's a different story altogether. Gurbani has already endorsed those who followed it with the right mindfulness, with the right attitude, they did get to the stage of Pave Mokh Dwar. But not everybody has reached there, not everybody arrived there, even though the processes were all there. Asankh jap, asankh bhav. There's a list of all of these. Bhav literally means the bhavanama, thought processes. There were unlimited processes to do jap. Asankh jap, asankh bhav, asankh puja, asankh taptav. Again, puja is the ritualistic aspect. Taptav means the tapascharya, the penance, the hatha yoga. So, asankh mukh ved part. Asankh granth mukh ved part. Lot of writings and the people reading them and analyzing them. Asankh jog man rahe udas. Asankh jog. Jog means jugati. Jog means to put together, jodna. The technique to get one with the one. So, those yogis, Siddh, who came back with different methodologies, Ashok, Asankh jog, man rahe udas. The process of detaching yourself from the world. People tried that. Asankh bhagat gun gyan vichar. Unlimited people try the process of analysis, going deeper into the thought, deeper into the word, deeper into a particular process. Gyan, vichar, to analyze it, to discuss it, to debate it. Asankh sati, asankh datar. Unlimited folks who follow the process of distributing the wealth, giving it away. Datar, to give it away. Anything that is a mine, you can have it, you can use it. All of these processes, asankh sur moho bhaksar. Sur means one who is brave. Bhaksar, the one who is willing to take the hit of the sword, bhaksar, on your own face, so that not running like a coward. The people sought through that bravery, the achievement of the highest states. Asankh sur, moho bhaksar, asankh mon livalayetar. Unlimited who sat down quietly and meditated in silence, live layetar, as if there is no disturbance at all in the outer dimension. Now, here is a list of all of these positive. After giving this example of the positive, then the question comes, should I choose one of them? Or all of them? Or none of them? What should a newcomer do? The one who is curious to get to a higher state of consciousness, should he choose this method? And the answer came back, no. Why is that? He gives the conclusion, says, Kudrat kavan kaha vichar. He says, I just haven't done all the listing. Kudrat kavan kaha vichar. How many can I give you the example? How much I can analyze? How many can be listed here? It is unlimited. Why? Because the nature from which this is coming, that is unlimited. Varya na jama ek var. Because the processes, the examples, the methodology that is being picked is picked from the nature. And the nature is unlimited. Hence, the processes will be unlimited. So how am I going to document it? So then what should I choose? The answer came back, jo tud bhave sai palega. I am not the chooser. I refuse to be the chooser. Whatever you have given is the one I will follow. And that is so slippery. It is so difficult. Because mind will constantly try to question, am I doing the right thing? Am I getting anywhere? Isn't it? अजी हुक्म मान लेने आपको कोई फायदा भी हो रहा है कि नहीं? Isn't it? And therein lies the trap. Hey, I surrender to your will, but what is the advantage? See how mind plays a trick immediately. Okay, I follow your will. Surrender to, let it be thy will. Okay, then what's for me? What a trap. I follow your will, but if it is not helping me, why should I follow your will? So did we really follow the will? See, that's what Gurbani's secrets are. Guru Nanak's way of saying Hukam Razai Chalana is not the same as when I'm totally helpless, I cannot do anything and I say, well, okay, I surrender. That's no surrendering. That's defeat. That is not the acceptance. That is the helplessness. See the difference. Surrendering is not when I have done everything not to surrender and were left with no choice. And then I bowed. When I have done everything I needed to do. That's no acceptance. There was a beautiful parable in Zenism that one of the Zen master, before his death, told the disciples that my time has come and I need to go. And he started building his own pyre. He said, I'm going to go sit on my pyre and funeral and you light it up. Are you nuts? That's self-immolation. That's self-burning. That's a suicide. He said, nuh-uh. Why should I have never ever gone on the shoulder of anybody while I was alive? Why should I bother somebody to take me to the morgue? When I am dead, I'm going to walk there. I'm going to sit and I'm going to go. I'm not going to allow anybody to carry me to the morgue. Look at the message, whether it's right or wrong. Look at the acceptance. Look at the preparation. Look at the surrender. I am not going to be taken. I am going to go. Right? That's why we have two words in Punjabi. We call jana, dusra hai le jana. ਅਸੀਂ ले जाए जाते हैं, जाते नहीं. We fight to the last moment. Guru Nanak says, understand the definition of surrender. It is not helplessness. It is not out of defeat. It is basically saying and accepting what? Kudrat kavan kahan vichar, varya na jama ek var. There is absolutely nothing that the part can know about the whole. A part can never know the whole. Hence, that attempt, that desire, that need is not there. So what do? I totally surrender. So now the question would be, well, how do I know if I'm on the right path? Where's the question coming from? Isn't it? There is already a goal in mind, right? Only then you can ask the question where I'm going, whether it's the right path or not. If there was no goal, would that question be? Last week we were discussing some of that. That's something coming to you that is right on the money. Every action, every decision, it already has a predetermined end result in your mind. Think about it. We constantly try to manipulate the end result. We are already at the end before we start. And every step we will take will keep that end in mind. And if that end is getting out of the sight somehow or other by our judgment, we'll say we'll change the process, change the path. That is not Guru Nanak's definition of Jo tud bhave sai palikar. Guru Nanak is saying, Gurbani is telling us, wherever you are, that's where you are supposed to be. Wherever you will end up, that's where you are supposed to be. Nothing is that is which should not be. So, once we get to that stage, or once we internalize that, all this struggle of the life, I should not have this home, I should have a bigger home. I should not have these relations, I should have better relations. I should not have this job, I should have a better job. I should not have these friends, I should have different friends. Means what? Sai bhalikar is unacceptable. Jo tud bhave is unacceptable. So the whole of the life goes through this constant struggle. I didn't get the right relations, I didn't get the right wealth, I did not get the right name, I didn't get the right fame. Everything that I got, I deserved better and more. And who decides what is that better and what is that more? I decide. So Guru Nanak says, Gurbani is telling you that this decision, this conclusion about am I on the right path? Am I at the right place? Is coming from that ego which wants to get someplace. And we have talked about this, that it's mind-boggling when we will, on one hand, will say, whatever you're doing is fine, whatever you will do it fine, here is my list that you should do. All of the prayers in all gurdwaras, churches, temples, they are full of this. They'll first go, we bow to you, O the Lord of all Almighty, everything, this is your universe, we bow to you, oh, but by the way, you need to change these things. And the most outrageous part of that is there will be two armies ready to fight. They will both be praying to the God and saying, he is a cheat, he should die, I should win. And the other one will be saying exactly the same thing. He is a cheat, he should die, I should win. Where is this coming from? It's coming from that the end result is already decided, it's predetermined by me. I want to get to this goal. Because I want to get to this goal, I choose a particular path. Because I choose a particular path, it never gets me there, I am more frustrated. So I keep on changing, getting nowhere. And Guru Nanak says, you should have done that right at the beginning. Before you started going in circles, before you started changing your partner, your husbands, your wives, your friends, you should have basically looked at and said, Jo tud bhave sai bhalika. But that surrendering didn't happen. And no matter how many you choose, the life experience of everyone will tell you that by changing or exchanging one thing with the other, all you have done is exchange the set of negatives within another set of negatives, set of positives within another set of positives. You really haven't solved the problem. It is impossible to find something, to get to a stage where there are only positives and no negatives. It doesn't matter which choice you make. So those who got to the Pave Mukh Dwar understood that right in the beginning. So what did they do? They said manana. Drop that man. The one who is saying, I want to get there. That's why manne ki gat kahi na jaye kar. Now you see the link between the asank and the man. Now these were the list of the positive energies. And Gurbani says, it's not just positive energies. There are just as many negative energies. And then the next list starts, Asank Murakh Andhaghor. Now the thing I want to point out to you is, on the top of the list when the positive was counted was Asank Jap. That's the supreme. In the negative energies, the top is Murakh, Asank Murakh. Now this word has been distorted in our language. Murakh does not mean Bewakoof. Murakh doesn't mean idiot. It's a wrong translation. Murakh means the Murshat. It comes from Sanskrit word Murshat, Mursha, Behosh, the one who is totally unconscious of what's going on around. And in Punjabi, the word Murakh is not, again, idiot or Bewakoof. It is Mu-Rakh. The one who changes his standpoint depending upon who is talking to. Gal muh rakh ke karni hai. It's the same statement. If the boss shows up, I say it differently. If the wife shows up, I say it differently. If a friend shows up, I say it differently. Mu-Rakh. The statement is the same, but it's presented differently depending upon who's listening. Both of these characteristics will keep you completely away from any spiritual evolution. If you're totally unconscious as to what the inner voice is, you will get pulled toward outer again and again and again. And if you are of the type who changes the stand and the statement depending upon who the other one is, then the truth will never come out of you. Right? You will never face the truth. Isn't it? If I am facing a friend, I am somebody. If I am facing a wife, I am somebody. If I am facing a boss, I am somebody else. I keep on changing my persona, from there the word personality came. Persona is a makhota that Greek theater used to wear. That's called persona. That's the word personality. So if I keep on changing my persona, I put a new mask every time. Who is the real one? And how would I ever face the real one if I am used to that type of a behavior? And that is on the top of the list in the negative energy. Asank Murakh Andhaghor. Staying in the darkness of the inner journey, but focus on the completely outer. And a lot of people have done that. So those people who focus on achieving certain occult powers. Right? Because I remember when I was young, the biggest advertisement of these charlatan for the youth is what? Take this, you will, and do this, and you will have the influence on the choice of your man or girl. Right? You will get the girl you want, you get the man you want. Take this, do this. The biggest selling point. What does youth? Youth is looking for a mate. So that was the biggest Ridya Siddhiya. You can win the person of your choice. Has nothing to do with whether you are going anywhere internally. It is only you will get the mate if you want. Whether it worked or not is a different story. But the people will look for those type of magical powers that it can do something like that. Or I can take a revenge on somebody. I still see the people who believe in, oh, somebody has done a magic on me, hence I'm suffering because of this. I was constantly told to my parents, because I was always a misfit in my family, say, somebody has done a magic to him, you take him to so and so. Up till now, no bhoot has come and scared me away. No bhoot has ever come out of me or gone inside me. And I'm sure my relatives over there still believe that is it. Because to them, if something is not fitting the norm, this is abnormal that a man should come to America and not make ton of money and then go back and tell everybody the money is no good. Do something different with it. Lost cause. But those are the negative energies. People get trapped by it. And not one, not two. Gurbani says, similarly, unlimited people have gone on that path. Asankh murkh andkhor, asankh chor haram khor. Haram khor, word has two meanings. Haram khor means the one who wants everybody to be done by others for him. And then the other one is, namak haram kehne. When somebody has done, there's no gratitude, there's no thankfulness. Hey, I deserved it. Or the world owed it to me. That's a haram khor. Asankh, amar kar jaye jor. There are people who use their power, physical or mental or spiritual, to exploit the others. Asankh gal vad hatya kamaye. Now this is not talking about the murderers, literally. It is talking about the bali. Those who believed in sacrifice, that the sacrificing the animals, and there were cults who actually sacrificed the humans as well. And it was, and there are a zillion of those stories. If the male has to be, all the body parts should be intact. And if a body part is cut off, and then they would not sacrifice that, it's incomplete human. Or if it was a female, then the female should be a virgin, and they will sacrifice. Those cults have existed on this planet. That sacrificing the Kalp Vriksha. The mythology about the Kalp Vriksha is that the Kalp Vriksha, that tree, the mythological tree which gives, Kalp means kalpana, whatever you imagine, it will come. And the myth about that is that once the tree grows up, in order for it to start giving the prasad, that fruit, then the virgin has to go and kick it at the root. And once it kicks at the root, the tree blossoms and gets ready to bless the rest of the world. But in doing so, that virgin then loses the capability of bear children for the rest of the life, as if she has given her own fruit to the tree. These are all mythological stories, how the sacrifice, in what form sacrifices were given. And Guru Nanak says there are unlimited people who galwad hatya kamaye, asankh papi pap kar jahe. The negative energy. Pap here means the negative energy. Asankh, असंख्य कूड़ेयार कूड़े फेराए असंख्य मलेश malapaka khai. Kudayar means the falsehood. Try to get through the life on the sport of the falsehood. Asankha malesh malapak khai. On one hand, there was fasting of a particular type. On the other hand, there was eating of or drinking of another type to get to that stage. Asankh nindak sir kare bhar. Now all these, nindak means the one who talks bad about the other. Bad mouthing, criticism. So Guru Nanak says, Gurbani says, here is a list of the negative. Nature exists in both, positive and negative. In Gurbani, there is not any example where only one list is given. If there is a list, they're all together next to each other, positive and negative. Because the Gurbani says, this good or bad, right and wrong is a human creation. It's not a God creation. God has just created, the Creator has just created the life form, life pattern, which flows in positive and negative. So it constantly brings us back to the same thought process drama, saying, how would you choose? So now becomes even more difficult thing. When we were talking of positive, if I am in one of them, whether I am into the jap or whether I am into the datar or whether I am into the surpa, ksar, it doesn't matter. I may be able to accept. But what if I am included one of these categories? Now, surrendering becomes even more difficult. Isn't it? Surrendering becomes impossible if the individual happens to be trapped by the negative energy. And there also Gurbani concludes, Nanak neej kahe vichar, varya na java ek var, jo tud bhave sai bhalikar, tu sada salamat narankar. It is your will. If this is what I am supposed to be, because that's the role you gave me, then so be it. Now this will again, in the young minds, this creates a big problem. You say, well, okay, do you mean if I am poor, I should not do to improve my status here? Should I accept my poverty or my helplessness like that? We will all become extremely lazy people. And therein lies the dichotomy. Gurbani says that's not what is being said. See, the confusion is that we are worrying about the end result. Constantly worrying about the end result. Gurbani says you are not the end result. You worry about the beginning. You just act. So when I say, should I not get rid of my poverty? The question is, how do you know that what you are doing will help you to get rid of the poverty? No matter what you do, how do you know that? Hey, I am going to go and study, okay, fine. I am going to go do a business, okay, fine. How do you know that it will remove your poverty? The action is constantly colored by the end result. And therein lies the problem. Gurbani is talking about the end result. We confuse it with the beginning. We say, if the end result is not going to be this, then why start? Back to square one. Right? So we now have the problem of choosing again. What's the right? What's the wrong? What's good? What's bad? And Gurbani continuously reminds those who got to the stage of Panch Parvan, Panch Pradhan, they did not have any concern about as to where they will end up. Whatever it was, it was. It was meant to be that way. Hence, it ended up that way. If it was not meant to be, it will not happen. And now, Gurbani says a beautiful reminder to us. Says, Asankh nav, asankh thav, agam agam asankh lo, asankh kahe ser bhar hoy. So he reminds us the thought that we were talking about earlier. He says, not only this planet, not only this galaxy, asankh nav, asankh thav. Agam agam, the one that absolutely cannot be fathomed. Asankh loy, loy means the galaxies. But again, Gurbani reminds, what is that asankh we are hammering on here? Asankh ka hai, sir bhar hoye. See, even saying the word asankh is wrong. Because it creates an image in your mind that asankh is a number. Albeit a very large one, but it is a number. And the reality is it's not. So by just trying to explain it, by calling it an infinity, you have done the damage. You can't even call it an infinity. That's why it is so paradoxical, and we had talked about it, that if you were to ask the God, how large is your creation, what would he say? He would only answer the question if he is done creating. Then he can say, this is how large the creation is. But if he can tell you this is how large the creation is, that means it's limited now. That's the boundary, which is not a fact. And the science is now beginning to come to terms with it. Right? Earlier they had the radio telescopes on Earth, and they could see to a certain length. And now they picked and put a telescope in the space, and now they can go even further, and they are still saying, where is the boundary? Where is the boundary? Because the light takes so many years to travel to the telescope, so the distance can be measured. If the life of the universe is larger than that, then that light hasn't reached here yet. So how would they know how big it is? They haven't given up, by the way, yet. They still want to find the boundary. Gurbani says, stop. Don't waste time. Varya na java ek var. It is impossible to get to that because God, the creation, the creativity is not limited by anything. So you, the Jagyasu, you, the person who is seeking, what is your choice of positive or negative? You can't choose. You just do. You are just a doer. If you are choosing with the thought of any end result, you have taken the first step wrong. So that is why, I remember now it is beginning to make sense to me that as the children grew up in the families, there were never any discussion what should be his career or her career. बच्चा बड़ा हो गया, काम पे ला दो जी कल. That was it. The boy is ready, so send him for making some living. Girl is grown up, get her married off. That's it. There was never any analysis of what the life is going to be. And the life opened by itself. And people follow different destinies. So, Gurbani says that if you fall into the trap of, I am only going to act if the end result is known, you have chosen the seed of discontent, because the end is not going to be what you perceive to be. It has seldom to be that way. And by doing that, there are so many of these, Guru Nanak says, even that is asankh kahe sere bhar hoye, apne sir te bhar hi uthaya hai. It is wrong to say, it is incomplete to say, no matter what words you choose would be incorrect. Then why are you saying it? Why don't you stop? And the next line aa gayi. Ji? Akhri naam, akhri sala, akhri gyan, geet, gun gaha. Akhar. Akhar word is, again from Sanskrit, called akshar. That word is akshar. Kshar means the one which dissolves, which is finite, which dies. Akshar, which is indestructible. So Guru Nanak says, to him only that word, the one which is indestructible, and that's only one, and that is what? Om, Ankar, Sohang. That's the only thing that can describe it. To rest of the world, the language is needed. There is nothing anyone can do. In order to communicate to that dimension which does not understand that soundless sound, that akshar, in English we call it alphabet. That's not the right translation. In alphabet is not the translation for the word akshar. Akshar means indestructible. And that means there is only one word, one syllable that can describe him. And that sound was Ankar. That's where we started from. That's the Om. That's the soundless sound. There is nothing else. Every other word used for him would be incorrect. But in order to describe to the outer world, what you have to do? Akhri naam, akhri salah, akhri gyan, geet, gun gaha. You have no choice. Unless until you get to the stage of Pave Mokh Dwar, where you have actually heard the soundless sound and actually become part of it, there is absolutely no choice but to use the words, but understand each and every word that's being used here is absolutely impotent, incapable of describing what it is trying to describe. So you are going to have to go beyond the words and try to feel and experience that which is indescribable, that which cannot be said, which can only be hinted at, that which can only be pointed to. But Gurbani says, hey, it is sirbhar. It's a big burden. It's a big fallacy, but there is no choice because the communication is taking place to a dimension which is not related with the dimension of which it is talking about. A part is trying to describe the whole. And it's not, no matter how hard it tries, it's not going to succeed. So accept that limitation. By accepting that limitation, make sure that this remains on the back of the consciousness, which is Akhari, Gyan, Geet, Gun, Ga, Akhari, Likhan, Bolan, Baan. Without using the words, you cannot communicate to the rest of those who are still on the path and haven't arrived there. So you're going to use the words, you're going to write the words, you're going to describe the words, yet knowing, being mindful of the fact that they are not doing the adequate job. They cannot. So the arguments will happen, well, what do you mean by this then? What do you mean by that? Well, we can go in circles if we want. Do you know that it is impossible to define a word? Any word. What do we do when we want to know the definition of a word? We go open the dictionary, right? I can prove it to you that the dictionaries are nothing but circular logic. What is a man? You go, the man is a human. You go see, what's a human? It's a man. Hey, wait a minute. Did you define? What's a man? Define the word man. Define the word health. Oh, the one who's not sick. What's sick? The one who's healthy. Or one who's not sick. Take a look at the dictionary, pick up any word, see the description, then take that word and go look for the word. You will find that word reappearing into the description. You cannot define. There are no definitions. We think we have the definitions. We think we have clearly understood it. We just elude ourselves. That we have a clarity of vision and clarity of thinking I can describe to you so precisely. But nature is not that simple. If a child is smart, he can make the daddy look like an idiot in a minute, in a second. He say, Daddy, what is the time? And daddy says 9:20. He say, look at again. It's not 9:20 anymore. Oh no, it's 9:20, 50 seconds. Look again. Oh, it's 51. Would you tell me the time? Dad can keep on looking at the time, and by the time the child says, look again, the time has moved on. And the child kind of frustrates you just like that. And say, how smart are you? This illusion of knowing is so predominant in the entire cosmos in the world. Everybody thinks I got all the answers. And none of us has any answer. And that's what Gurbani is saying today. He says, the words are only being used to set up a communication. That's all there is to it. So long as, while you are communicating, you keep in mind that whatever you are saying is never going to be said completely. Mom, I'm sick. How sick are you? Well, I have a temperature. Okay, I'll get the thermometer. I'll measure the temperature. But I have a headache. How much headache? How are you going to describe it? What are you going to tell? Mom, I'm very happy. How happy are you? How are you going to describe it? Mom, I'm in love. How much in love are you? What does it mean? How are you going to describe it? What, I am in love? I have no clue how much love is. How do you know you are in love? I don't know. I just feel it. But the one who's feeling is so convinced that I'm in love, and then give them 6 months, put them in a room, and they're ready to kill each other. What happened to the love? Oh, you knew at that time you were in love. What happened now? What happened? The illusion got broken. That image, that dream that I had created around myself, the dream broke. I woke from it. And Gurbani is pointing out that today, saying, Akhri naam akhri salaha, akhri gyan geet gun gaha, akhri likhan bolan baan, akhra sir sanjog vakhan. So all because all of the drama that is going on in this world is because of the words. Use them as a tool, but don't forget that you will never be able to do justice by using the words. What is the biggest complaint between man and a woman relationship? He doesn't understand me. Isn't it? She doesn't understand me. He doesn't understand me. What do you mean he doesn't understand? Oh no, he has no clue what I feel. Did you say? Yep. Then what happened? He didn't understand. Accept that fact right in the beginning. That you are not going to be explained and the other one is not going to be able to understand because both are in an illusion that the words are doing the job. The words can never do the job. Because words were created, it's a human creation. The most imperfect science in this universe is the science of language. But you can't get away from it. You have no other means. So Gurbani says, when the books are written and the granths are written and the literature is, libraries are full of those books to describe him, all they are trying to say, we can't describe him, otherwise why write so many? Shouldn't one be enough? Everyone comes in and writes a new granth. Every mystic creates a new method. What's going on here? Gurbani accepts the fact right now and say it is undoable. So what you should say? Conclusion? Jin e likhe tis sir na hai. Can I understand that? The one who created all of this, the beauty of the creation is that he is beyond. Jin e likhe tis sir na hai. वो इस दर्ज काबू नहीं आने वाला. Because that's why he's a creator, because the creator himself is not like the web of woven by a little spider. Right? Isn't it beautiful? If you look at how intricate that web is, anybody watched that ever? And the whole thing is coming from within. The thread is coming from the mouth. And the spider keeps on weaving and weaving and weaving and weaving, but the only problem is it doesn't know how to get out of it. That's the difference between the creator. Whole of the creation came out of him. It is web created by he is not part of the web. See the difference. The language will never ever catch him because language is created by him. He will never be perceived by the human because the human is created by him. So long as you accept that right in the beginning, then any choice becomes the right choice. Every choice becomes the right choice. How many of us take pride in the fact we were smart, we migrated, we came to this country, we were beautiful life. Could you have come here by your own? Don't you see the energy that needed you to be here? That made the circumstances, all these things come together. You got the parents who educated you, you got the wealth that put you there on the plane, you got the language and the knowledge and the things to survive here. All these energies put together. Now, I was smart, I decided I'm not going to stay here, I'm going to go live in America. Not for one moment the thought comes, where is this smartness in you? Oh, they could, zillion of people are willing to pay zillion of dollars to come over here. I made the choice at the right time. What about those who are not born then and now they be born? What about them? It doesn't matter which topic you take. You will find when you peel the onion, Gurbani puts us in a one sentence, says, it is not possible. It is an illusion. It is a dream. Wake up. Jine likhe tis sir naaye, jiv farmaaye, tiv tiv paaye. That's the will. It is already happening that way. Whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether you surrender to it or not, it says that's all right. You can stay in your dream. But understand the fact, jiv farmaye, tev tev paaye. Whatever is happening is already happening according to, it's not happening because you did it, or you did not do it, or you wished it, or you stopped it. Not that is. Jeta kita teta nau vin nave nahi ko thao. This is whole of the creation. There is not a single spore where that sound, that name, that energy is not there. Jeta kita teta now. As big, wind name nahi ko tha. There is not a single spot. There is not a single. That's why I think in one of our talks we spent some time in talking about when they say, oh, the soul is inside the body. And we talked about it. Well, what is outside the body then? If that energy, that which we call soul, is only inside, what is outside the body? Is that energy not here outside right now? And the Gurbani gave the answer. No, inside, outside, upside, downside, right side, upside, everywhere. Smaller than the smallest, greater than the greatest. That energy is all pervading, inner and outer. So what you do then? So kudrat kaman kaha vichar, varya na jama ek var, jo tud bhave sai palikar, tu sada salamat narankar. Because that energy is the only one which is sada salamat. Everything else, sada salamat means ever pervading. It's not that it's now, or it's not going to be, or it is only momentarily, or it comes when it's needed. No, it says, since you are all pervading, have been, will continue to be so, everything else is what? They appear like a shooting star on the sky and then they burn into the air. Isn't it? So the lifespan is what? Just like a wave came on the ocean, stayed for a while, and then dropped, became part of the ocean. So is the rest of the creation would always be like that. A little bubble. Now because it has air in it, it thinks I'm such a big thing. But it bursts. Jaise jalate budbada upjay bin se neet jag rachana taise rachi kaho nanak sonameet. Ninth master. He says it's nothing but jaise jalate budbada. As there is a little bubble on the water, it appears to be there, it is there. From a distance you can see it. But it is there only because it is part of that ocean. You try to separate that from the ocean, it finishes. So, all the choices in life. Now, isn't that the resonance of Gita? Is what Krishna said to Arjuna? Stop worrying about the end result. Just act. The mind is in such a big habit of thinking about the end. What is in it for me? Now, you may do that with your partner when you're doing a business transaction, which is the physical transaction in a physical dimension. But you cannot apply the same rules in the spiritual dimension. So when it doesn't matter what belief systems you have. When you go to the Creator and say, do this and I will do that for you. मैं इतने हवन करवा देता हूं, मैं इतने मंदिर बनवा देता हूं, मैं इतने ये करता हूं, मेरा ये कर दे. Do this for me. मैं इतनी पूजा कर देता हूं. It's not going to work with it. It's not going to do it because you did the puja. It's not going to be because you didn't do the puja. If it happened not because of you, it happened in spite of you. That's the way it was going to happen, and you will never know. Right? I mean, let's assume for a minute that I go to the Gurdwara and I do ardas and pray, get me a job, and I will give 10%. So I get a job. Now, is the immediate conclusion because that I did the ardas, right? And I'm going to give 10%, isn't it? But did I give 10% or did I ask for 90% myself? Now, why would he do such a deal with me? I mean, I don't give that much credit to the intelligence of this universe. That he is stupid. They say, that's all right, I'll give you $1, you just give me 10 cents back. No, I got a job because I was going to get a job. Whether I went there, I prayed there, or not prayed there. It was totally coincidental that it happened that way. It is my choice. I can link it with that prayer. And we constantly do that. And Gurbani today takes that crutch away from us and says, wake up to the fact. Look around you. If looking around you at the creation does not give you the sense of humility, then you have a long way to go. Nature is not going to suddenly strike a thunder and say, since you are not humble, I'm going to. You say, you have a long journey. So enjoy that if that's what you want to do. So today we covered the 3 stanzas of Asang. So we have come up to the 19th stanza. So this is actually the half mark of Japuji. So from this, then we will get started on the Pariye Hath Pair Tande. This is the indication of the ritualistic aspect of the choices that we make. See how the link is. So I'm giving you the introduction because we will not be meeting 2 weeks from today. I have to go to Pittsburgh. Yeah. Dhaliwal Saab's niece is getting married, and so they have asked me to join them to conduct the ceremony there. So I'll be going there on Friday. But we'll meet in the new year, and we'll pick up the thread right from here. What is the thread? How do I make choices? Is there a choice right or wrong? And then Gurbani will start talking of some of the choices and say, look, when you make this choice, isn't that obvious? Here is the end result. That if you have chosen, and it points out the very first choice that we started with, Soche soch na hovai, right? Sochata, the purity, the Tirtha Snan. So it starts right from there again and says, look at this choice. That the water does what? It says water helps you to clean. Clean what? The body, the cloth, the metal outside. Now, if you are expecting that this should also cleanse your inner being, then are you not asking a little bit much from the water? See, so this is how then the counting of the choices lead to specific choices, and we will go through the analysis of this a month from today. With that, I want to thank you for coming, and want to wish you all the safe and happy holidays in the new year if we don't get to see each other.